Greetings, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Mr. Schwartz's Art Hour. And on this episode, we're going to learn how to do something pretty cool. We're going to learn how to do angel wings. Meet me on the other side of the scene transition, and we'll get ourselves started. So what we're actually going to be doing is, in order to draw angel wings, we need to draw someone's back to put them on. So we're actually going to draw the person's back right now. So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to just block off a very basic area using a square. Just like, actually, a square. I don't know what I'm talking about. I should know how to say things. This is a rectangle. So the rectangle, as you see, should not be very large. It should only encompass around about a small area of the middle of your page. This is so that when we draw the outstretched wing on one side, that it has enough space to get all the way out to the edge of the paper or as far as we want it to go. So just showing you that real quick. Let's zoom in now and continue. Alright, so let's keep on going here. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw a small circle roundabouts in the middle of the top of the rectangle. This will be our character's neck. Now when we draw our character from the back, we're not going to draw the full head, we're just going to draw a small portion of it because the most important part is what's going to be going on right here. So now that we've gotten that little circle drawn, we're going to come to this side of the circle and we're going to draw a line that starts to slope downwards. A small curve down and make it mirrored on both sides. So it goes out to the edge of the rectangle and it stops. So essentially what you've just done, even though you might not see it yet, is you created the sides of the character's neck as well as the character's shoulders. So again, it might seem small on your paper, but this is to facilitate the larger wingspan, okay? So what we're going to do now is come to right where our shoulders stopped on the line and draw another circle on both sides. It's okay if this one extends out a little over the edge. That's perfectly fine. So the rectangle is about at the middle of the circle. So we should end up something like this. All right. And now what we're going to do is we're going to come to the bottom middle part of the circle and we're going to start drawing a line that curves slightly inwards like so. Just slightly in, because what we're doing is we're drawing the character's midsection, and our character is fairly toned, he's fairly fit, he or she, it doesn't really matter since we're drawing them from the back. They are fairly fit, and we're going to extend it slightly back outwards, like so. And we're actually going to stop right about there. So we'll draw a line there to represent the top of the waist, like so. So now, if we erase out the rest of that outline, we end up with the very basic way to draw a character's torso region. Quite simple, really. It may seem intimidating at first, but if you just break it down to simple shapes, you realize it's not all as complicated as you thought it might be. And we're going to finish off with the arms, and we're only going to draw a very small section of the arms. So what we're going to do is draw two little sticks that are going out of the body at an angle, like so. And now basically you can think of this as the arm's bone. So you're going to draw the skin around the bone by coming around to the top of the circle and filling it out by adding the skin and flesh around it, just like so. You want to make sure that the shoulders are rounded in case we're actually going to see them. In the case of the outstretched one, we might not, but it's always good to have it correct just in case you do see it. So after letting you go ahead and copy that, I'm going to erase out the parts that I don't need, making sure to leave a little bit of this line up in the back since this is the back of the person. So there we go. We have drawn a person's back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my paper off to the side until the edge of my paper is once again the edge of the camera. So that should help you out. So we're going to first draw a wing all the way out. We're going to start off with a more complicated one and end with a slightly easier one. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to come right here to the shoulder blade on the right that we've drawn before, and we're going to draw a small circle that stays inside the body and encompasses most of the area above the shoulder blade, just like so. And while you all are doing that, I'm going to very quickly and lightly erase out that section there. So again, We probably won't see most of this, but in case you do, again, it's always good to know exactly where it should look like and where it's supposed to be. Alright, so this next part can be a little bit complicated, but essentially we're going to be drawing another skeletal structure like we did for the arms, but it's going to be of a little different size. So we're going to be drawing a curving line that goes out to roundabouts here. If the arm was here that we drew before, this is where the first fold will be, and we're going to put a ball right on the end, just like so. So again, we're starting off with skeletal structure, so draw lightly, everybody, very important. And we're going to go ahead and draw another structure, just like so, that curves out, and this one is a little bit longer. Another ball, and then we're going to end with another very small stick and ball, just like so. So you should end up with a structure that looks something like this. Alright, so now that you've got that all taken care of, I'm going to come back in and, just like I did before, lightly erase out what I drew before, just to make it easier for myself to erase it later on. And I'm going to come to where the circle started, and I'm going to draw a extension of that circle that comes out above the shoulder area that we drew before. Excuse me. And it needs to end at where this ball was that we drew before. So in case it helps you, I'll just lightly redraw that back in so you can see them a little bit more. So this structure should curve back down and around that circle that we drew before it comes back and curves into the line that we started at the beginning. And we're going to come up to this section now. I'll redraw that very lightly just in case you need to be able to see that. So we're going to come and start drawing a oval. So we're going to draw inside a little of this shape. So it comes around and curves up on both sides, and it curves around that circle that we had drawn before, and we're going to end with another oval that connects our last ball and stick to the one that we drew before. And now we need to go about the task of making these three shapes look like they go naturally from one to the other. So what you can do is you can make the connections between them a little bit more curved, like so. So instead of being connected by those strange ovals that can leave gaps in the middle, now we have this structure instead. Alright, so this is basically the first structure that we needed to build, and now we're going to draw two more structures by simply adding two extra lines to this structure. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to come back up to this area that we drew here, and we're going to start by drawing a line that extends out from this section that we have here and curves around close to the body, following the curve of it basically, and ending at a point like so. And now for the final part, we're actually going to draw the line that goes down from the structure that we drew before, down further, out and around, so it ends with a much wider area down at the bottom. So you should end up with the line that has a sort of gentle arc to it at the top. And once we can now come back here, and we can make this a little bit more of a square shape back here, like so. So you should end up with a structure that looks a little bit like this, like so. Fairly big, because the bigger the wing, the easier it will be to lift this person off of the ground. So I'll let you go ahead and copy this, and we'll continue right along shortly. Alright, so now that we have all the basic structures all ready to go, we're going to come back here and we're going to divide the rest of this wing up to make it look a little bit more natural on this person's back. So we're going to come here to this huge little section we have right here, and I'm going to lightly erase some of that out, like so. So at this point here, where it begins to curve back into the wing, we're going to take that curve and we're going to take it all the way down like this to where this other line was, and then finish it off like this. So now we have a clear structure for the top part of the wing, the middle part of the wing, and the end. So now that that is taken care of, we can now come and begin adding the wing details to this. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to start up here in this middle section that we have here. And I'm going to very lightly, as always, erase out that middle line. So again, you can still see it just barely. And basically, this part is very, very simple. You're just going to add a bunch of ovals that have their end cut off. So you're going to start here, and when you reach to that middle point, you're going to curve the line around back into this curving form we have up here. And you come next to it, and you'll begin another curve that starts off of the first one, making sure you can still see me, and curving it back up into the wing, and continuing it. So this part is, again, very, very simple. You're just going to come at the end of this thing that you can't see right now. Now you can. To the end, to the tip of this first oval that you had there, you're going to erase out these lines that you don't need, so you can just see it barely. And we're going to come and make a long, long oval. The only difference is with this one, since these are the feathers at the very end of the wing, we want their tips to not be quite so rounded, but rather have a little bit more of an edge to them, like so. So when you make them, you actually want to bring out the line a little bit from the edge before you bring it back in, like so. So it's giving it that little bit extra edge helps give your wings a little bit more dimension to them and a little bit more life. Okay, that's all taken care of, and no doubt you saw during that sped up footage that I did take what was originally a sharp edge here and turned it into a curving shape instead. I figure that goes a little bit better with the wing shape that we have going on here. So what we're actually going to do now is to finish this wing off, we're going to come to this shape that we started off with at the very beginning, and we're going to lightly erase it. An absolute shocker, I know. I'm always doing that to all my students all the time. We're going to do that on both sides, actually, because since there is so much detail going on with the wings, our shape that we had at the beginning is starting to look a little bit strange and a little bit off compared to what we have on the rest of the wing. So what we're actually going to do is we're going to come back to this shape here. We're just going to give it a little bit more life and a little bit more character to it. And the way we do that is simply by coming around to this edge here and occasionally rippling it outwards and giving it a little bit more spikiness to it, to give it a little bit more of a feather quality to it. So you don't have to do that all the time. You can have a little bit of flat space followed by a little bit of the jagged edges, but you don't want it to be too spiky all around. You want it to look like a bunch of mottled feathers up at the top. And there we have it. We have ourselves what is looking like a pretty good angel wing on the back of what is looking like a pretty good person. So what I've decided to do is I'm just going to speed draw through this. So I'm going to speed up the footage as I draw this. So basically you're just making another wing on the opposite side that is the same exact wing design as this one, just flipped in reverse. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speed draw through that. And then I'm going to let you catch up with me, and then we'll finish things off when we're all ready to go. All right. So before we do anything, though, I do want to mention that you should get a piece of paper towel and put it over the right side you're drawing while you're drawing over here. You can always lift it back off for reference, but if you're right-handed like me, then while you're drawing over on this side, your hand is going to be running over your nice drawing that you just did. So it's going to smear everything up and you're not going to be very happy. So put this over your drawing while you're working on this wing over here, just because it's going to make things a lot easier for you and a lot less sadness when you see how badly you've smeared up that side. All right, sped up footage time. Okay, everybody, so I want to thank you all for joining me for this episode of Mr. Schwartz's Art Hour. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I did, and hopefully you learned something new. And I look forward to seeing you again next time. This is Mr. Schwartz, signing off for now.